Hi, our project is the global healthcare problem of HIV/AIDS affecting the world. We'll begin by telling our opinions on the global health issues, then talk about why we chose to research HIV and AIDS, talk about the difference between them, then we'll give our creative solution and see how it affects a specific culture, and lastly, we'll talk about how we will execute our plan.
We will now be addressing some of our opinions on why we chose specifically HIV and AIDS and how these two specifically target is a global problem. So, according to the United Nations website, more than 36 million people worldwide have HIV and AIDS. That is a very great number, and often we only think of the 2/3 of the population which live in the sub-Saharan Africa. However, there are also many places such as Eastern Europe which are affected with HIV, and specifically Ukraine and Russia.
Now we're going to talk about the differences between HIV and AIDS. HIV, known as human immune deficiency virus, is a single virus that has the ability to become AIDS. It will attack your immune system, and it's transmitted from not only bodily fluids but also unclean medical utensils such as needles and things like that. When it becomes AIDS, also known as acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, that's a condition that develops from serious damage to the immune system, which will obviously attack your body in the long term. And this is transmitted from the virus that starts as HIV. So now we're going to talk about our creative plan. So the basic overview of our creative plan to solve this HIV and AIDS epidemic in Eastern Europe, specifically Russia and Ukraine, would be to target certain practices in these countries. We would select these family practices, and anyone could come into these family practices, read up and take a short quiz about HIV or AIDS. And once the quiz has been taken, we will select a certain amount of individuals that score above a certain threshold on the test, and they will be eligible to receive free or discounted HIV screening. Based on the results of each test, we will separate the candidates into two groups, HIV positive and HIV negative patients. So after that, the people that test negative for HIV will receive continued discounting or free testing for the remainder of their lives. So they choose to come in, we would provide that for them. And then as far as the HIV positive patients go, they would be able to receive their first PEP treatment free of charge on us. After that, they would be able to receive these PEP treatments at a discounted or free rate, contingent on the fact that they continue their education about their virus and they learn how to make sure it doesn't spread to other people or it doesn't turn into full-blown AIDS. By doing this, we will not only keep the prevention rates higher and be keeping people that don't have HIV that way, we will be taking the people that do have HIV and make sure they don't spread it to other people who are HIV free, resulting in a clean, happy Eastern European country.
Alright, so now we're answering the question why we chose to target Eastern Europe countries regarding Russia and Ukraine. Now, while HIV is prevalent largely in African countries such as Kenya and Nigeria, it is also a large problem in European countries and the United States. More specifically, Russia is the #1 country in Europe that struggles with HIV, and Ukraine is the second largest country. The reason why we chose to target Eastern European countries is because, first of all, it relates more to our culture as being United States representatives. We believe that by targeting countries similar in culture, our people as well as their people will be able to realize the severity and the impact of HIV and how it's not only targeted to less developed countries, but it's also a problem that is close to home. The second reason is that it would cause a domino effect on the world, because as the United States and as countries in Europe are largely influential, smaller countries would be able to follow our lead and follow our steps and resources in order to solve the problem. And lastly, more developed countries such as those in Eastern Europe would be able to have more resources and more clinics for our solution to take part in, as opposed to countries such as Ethiopia and Kenya, where family practices and resources would be more limited.
Alright, in conclusion, we just want to thank you for hearing our opinions. We thank you that you're our CEO and care about your employees and what we have to offer. The global health issue, that's just reiterating that HIV and AIDS is so prevalent in the whole world, so we just thank you that want to emphasize how big and large of a problem it is. We want to repeat that we are more focused on the patient's needs, so all of our steps are directly about the patients. We want to see this actually get cured and actually see there be a prevention. We want to stop the spreading, and we also want to emphasize the education so that preventing and spreading will stop. And then also just more job opportunities. If we want to just have a better economy, we're going to be doing that while using this sort of clinic system. So thank you for following our steps and just hearing our voices.